Hello everyone, this is Nick Burkhardt and this is my tutorial for hair particle rigging. So, we're in Blender and we're starting off with a pretty generic scene except for a couple of collections that I've added here. Now these collections will be important to the script that we're going to be running. We'll go over them a little bit later, but the important part of these are really kind of the naming conventions, the prefixes and the suffixes. So initially we have our ch boxy, and that ch prefix is very important. The hair dot hair suffix is very important. The dot particles suffix is very important, and then the dot proxy suffix is also very important. And so here we've just got our default cube, which is fantastic. We can go in and add in a subdivision modifier to make it look more round. I'm going to add in 3 subdivisions so it's nice and round. And here I'm going to go in and just add in some particles. So add in particles, swap it to hair, looks good. We'll change the segments to 10 so that we have a little bit more to play around with. And from here, just Control Tab into particle editing and groom these guys. So I'm going to make this kind of like a comet of hair. There we go. There we go. Cool. And so now we've got kind of our groomed hair clump here. We can go back into our modifier stack and we can convert this to mesh. And so what that does is it bakes it out into a mesh edges. And we will be using those to drive the particles or the key curves inside of the particle system. Let's go back here really quick. We're going to change the name of this particle system. We'll change it from away from the default particle system to just hair. And again, naming conventions are kind of important here. So this mesh needs to be parented under the proxy, the dot proxy, and then we'll change this to cube dash hair. So it's the name of the object with a dash and then the name of the instance. And then we'll go ahead and change the hierarchy a little bit and pop our cube down under particles. So again, both of these are important for the script that we're going to be running. So now we've got kind of baked out hair and we've got our particle hair. What I've noticed is when we bake out the hair, it doesn't come in with the same number of CVs. So it's really important that it has the same number of CVs as the particle hair so that we can copy them back and forth with this script. So we can go into geometry nodes really quick, pop geometry nodes on, and then do mesh to curves. And this is because as we look at this, the incoming geometry isn't curves, it's meshes. And then we can resample curve. We've already got the default 10. That's the amount of the amount of CVs that we want inside of here. And then we go from curve to mesh. So we want to output a mesh again. So that's cool. So now everything should be 10 CVs, and we should be happy with that. And we can go ahead and apply that. And then we'll really quickly kind of go back into our particles. And this is really just kind of for sanity. I'm going to select all of these keys, all of these particles, and then I'm going to go through and rekey this. And I'm going to change this to 10. And so now all of these curves should have 10 particles on them. And again, that kind of that sameness is that synchronization is important for the script here. Okay, cool. So now we've got our geometry out here and our instancing on our cube. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to drop in an armature. And we're going to modify this so that kind of the base is at the base of our comet, and then the tip of the base is, I guess the base is in the middle, and the tip is in the back of the comet. And then we'll just go in and subdivide this. There we go. And so now we've got something in the middle. If I were to hide these, it would look something like this. That's good enough for to get the point across. Um, so I'll drag this out of that collection, and then what we can do is we can select this and then select the armature. Oh, out of object mode. Select this cube here, select the armature, and then hit Control P, and then just go um, with armature deform. So if we go into our modifier, we should have our armature. We're just going to change this from vertex groups to bone envelopes. You can still use vertex groups. Bone envelopes, they tend to be a little bit easier, I guess, for me for this kind of like, I guess, mess of curves and points. And so if I were to go into posing and pose this out, yeah, so now my curves are moving around. It's not the best deformation, but we can go and refine that with weights. Cool. So we got something moving around, but our particle system isn't moving with our curves, with our mesh curves. So that's where this script comes in. So this script can be found inside of the Eli asset on the Blender cloud. And this is basically installing a handler in the dependency graph update in the frame change update, and it copies the vertices from our mesh from our baked out geometry into the keys of the particle system. So it's kind of a poor man's deformer. So change this to here deform dot py, and then we'll go ahead and run it. So now we should be able to go into here, pose this out, and there we go. Everything's working as expected. Now we're directly deforming our particle system with geometry and with armature instead of having to go through some other solutions that are really limited in scope. So this took me a long time to find these solutions. Hopefully it's helpful to people out there, because it was really difficult to find this. But all of this solution was found through the assets on the Sprite short that just was released. And I appreciate them kind of releasing those assets, those production assets. That was really, really, really great to be able to find this kind of a solution through it. Thanks.